Imagine killing your parents and then living with their dead bodies for 4 years while spinning webs of lies to maintain the illusion that they were still alive to benefit financially from them. Well, in today's topic, unfortunately, this is exactly what Virginia Mccullough did. Virginia Mccullough, aged 36, from Chelmsford, Essex in the UK, was born to parents Lois and John, both in their 70s, and has 4 sisters who have not been named. She was arrested in September 2023 when the couple's GP alerted Essex police of a concern as there had been several cancelled appointments, including medication reviews for the couple. The police body cam footage shows Virginia admitting to killing her parents. In the footage, she appears to try to take control of the situation from the officers, laughs and smirks at times, and even makes an awful sarcastic remark to the officers about catching the bad guy.
That's fine. No one in here at the moment. Hold on. The police. Got it.
Stay where you are.
Stay where you are.
Show me
Stay where you are. Show your hands. You here?
Jenny?
Yep.
Jenny?
Yeah.
Oh. The time is 12:12. You're under arrest on suspicion of murder against Jonathan Mccullough and Lois Mccullough.
Yeah,
Okay?
okay.
Do you have to say anything, but it may harm defence. If you do
No,
not
I just
mention
take my cough
when
out.
questioned, so much like report anything you do so have the evidence. Okay? Alright, your arrest is
I'll
necessary
cooperate, I'll
for a prompt
cooperate.
and effective.
Is there anything in the property we should know about?
Yes, there
Where?
is. Can I take you to it?
No, you can tell me.
Can we go in there for a second, just so I can tell you something about what's in there?
Yeah.
Thank you. And then,
You need to tell us
the only
something
reason
about
I
what's in
said I need to tell you something about what's upstairs on the top floor as well.
It's fine. We'll
Yeah,
go
okay.
It's a bit more quieter.
Is it here okay?
Yes, mind your feet, obviously.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm not that dangerous.
No, it's fine.
I know, but obviously I've got to be careful. My dad's body's in there.
Right, okay.
Yep, okay. Obviously I'll
Where about
say,
your mum?
a little bit more complicated.
Okay.
That's why I said, can I go upstairs and show
Right,
you?
can you
If
explain
wanna
it to us,
bring
please? Because
officers,
we're trying to preserve this. It's now going to be seen, so we need to preserve this the best we can. So I don't want you to have you walking up there, all right? Because that's for your well-being as well as ours.
Oh, no, up.
Okay.
Up.
So what?
Thank you.
Where
Can I grab some
will we
hairbands
find your
as
mum?
well, if possible?
Where will we find your mum?
Okay, so upstairs there are about 5 wardrobes.
Yep.
It's behind the bed at the back next to the sink. That's the second one. I've slipped a pile of those into his drink. There were about 2 or 3 drinks that I brought downstairs. And yeah, they were basically, he didn't drink all of them. He only drank probably about half of 2. But yeah, when I went in the morning, this was before my mother. When I went in the morning, early hours, I got up about half an hour early, about 6 o'clock in the morning. Came in and he was gone. He was gone.
okay.
It's
It's up to you if you want to talk.
yeah.
The thing is, purpose of your arrest. Purpose of your arrest is for a prompt, effective investigation, as well as by questioning you. We can't do that here. It needs to be done at a police station, all right?
I did know that this would kind of come eventually. It's proper that I serve my punishment. So yeah.
Okay, so Virginia, I'm just going to ask you this. This is what I've written down based on the information you just told us, because what we regard as a significant comment, because you've made it upon under caution after your arrest.
By the way, are part of they're my granddad's.
Okay, right. So I've written this, please. I, Virginia Mccullough, have informed Police Constables 77329 Brown and 79387 Bowers after entering my house on Friday the 15th September 2023 that I murdered my father, John Mccullough, who was stated was under a bed in the rear ground floor of the house, and my mother upstairs in a cupboard next to the sink.
Wardrobe. It's a double wardrobe.
Right, okay, I've written
Double
cupboard.
wardrobe. It's like 4 wardrobe doors, but it's the one nearest the sink. Double wardrobe.
Pick up then.
Yeah.
What's significant as I've written down there here now, I've just read out to you. Are you happy to sign that, to say that's a true account?
Yeah. Cheer up, at least you caught the bad guy.
I've
I
just
know, I
woken
don't
up
seem-
today
I
and
don't-
done my
I
job.
don't-
No.
I know I don't seem
Not a lot,
100% evil, but we all, yeah, not...
I'm not going to
See,
comment on
people-
anything. It's not my job to
no,
comment on it,
no, no,
okay? Because I've got to be
no.
impartial with everything, okay? So I'm not going to give any comments.
No, well, I mean, I deserve to obviously get whatever's coming sentence-wise, because that's the right thing to do. And that might give me a bit of peace. Also in the handbag as well, there's, and again, because you're probably going to need to know about it, there's a card in there, card one money. And that's a bank card where there's a lot of transactions that have taken place over the last few years from money that pertains to my parents.
Psychologists have commented that this type of behaviour is known in psychopaths and narcissists. Virginia has autism, but this is not being taken into account for her trial, as the judge has stated that she knew what she was doing. Her defence lawyer stated that she is not a psychopath, as the isolation of these offences and the confession means she doesn't have this disorder. However, a psychiatrist who examined Mccullough said her callousness, lack of empathy, and deceptive behaviours indicates that she is a psychopath. She has since been sentenced to a minimum of 36 years before being considered for parole. Throughout the entire process, she has shown almost no emotion and has since said that she feels much better in prison. There is also footage of her in the holding cells where she describes where to find the murder weapons, where she seems to shed a tear.
So, murder weapon is upstairs in the toilet room, kitchen knife. It's in the middle of the brown carpet, against the wall, opposite the shelves. So there are two long white shelves, so opposite where that wall is, that's where the knife is. So next bit is very hard to talk about. That's probably the most grisly detail. So on the ground floor, underneath the stairs, there's a few like storage boxes and things. And in the middle, I think it's in one of the boxes or in a bag or something. If you want me to shush after this, it's fine. But every bit helps. You will find forensic bits helpful. There's a hammer. I know, but I'm trying to help so you find everything. It's in the middle, underneath the stairs. It will still have blood on it. It's rusted, but it will still have blood traces on it. So not cooperating is it's futile.
Yeah.
There's no point in not cooperating, there really isn't. And plus, apart from which anyway, I should pay for what I've done. That's the other side of the coin, I think. So, yeah.
Virginia had told people in the area that she wasn't living at her parents' address permanently, and apparently was staying with them to help them renovate a wall. She claimed to people in the area she had a flat in Chelmsford that she would return to at weekends, although there are suspicions that she just hid herself away in the house. She was telling her parents she had a job as a web designer and was even pretending to go into the office, but was saying that they weren't paying her. A friend of Virginia's mum is stated to have even messaged her mum saying, "I hope Ginny gets her full pay sorted." Virginia, however, had not been working since she was a barmaid in 2017. She was also telling people in the local area that she was an aspiring artist and claimed that she made money from selling pencil drawings of animals to art shops, although those that saw them said they were pretty ordinary. She spun countless lies, including fake benign cysts requiring treatment and thunderclap headaches, which she's shown no symptoms of since being in custody. She racked up countless debts and was apparently in £60,000 of debt when she decided to murder her parents. She secured loans in their names as the parents trusted her to deal with their finances and racked up credit card bills all without their knowledge. She would then invent various frauds, banking failures and hacks to explain the losses and invent complex police and corporate investigations which promised repayment, but they were always subject to delays. It is clear that her parents entrusted her to deal with the repayments, and she was even forging documents from multiple financial institutions to give false explanations for these delays. She admitted to drugging both parents' lunches on a previous occasion and spiked her father's drinks 2 days before the murder with zopiclone, which is a sleeping pill, and gabapentin, which is a drug used for epilepsy and nerve pain. And she stated she was using him as a guinea pig. Then, on June the 17th, she crushed up prescription drugs and put them into her dad's alcoholic drinks, and when she woke up the next morning, he was gone. So she realised she had to kill her mum before her mum found her father. This is where people speculate that she hated her mother because of the way she killed her. It's more violent compared to the way she killed her father. But apparently she did try to drug her mother also, but Lois didn't drink enough of it to kill her, so she had to go with her backup plan. As Lois lay on the bed listening to the radio, Virginia states she put on a pair of Wilco gloves, grabbed a hammer and a knife that she bought a month before the incident, and she states she had to go in and out about 3 times to build up momentum. She finally walked in and struck Lois on the head with the hammer, and McCullough chillingly states she hit her again and again, and when she was striking her mother, she said it was like someone badly playing the xylophone or something. She realised this was not going to work and states she didn't want her mum to suffer, so she started stabbing her a total of 8 times in the chest and neck. She states that right before her mother passed, she held her mother's hand and apologised, and she said it looked like her mum wanted to say something, but she couldn't. The brutality of this attack does raise a few eyebrows, and the fact she stated in court her mother was a happiness hoover, who used to smack the children as they bathed up until the ages of 13, makes you think there was some sort of resentment involved. The parents have also been labelled as functional rather than affectionate, old-fashioned, but apparently loved their kids. However, I did find someone on Facebook who claimed to know people who knew the family and stated there were lots of rumours about what went on in that house. The father, like Virginia, had autism. He also had a medical history of hypertension, type 2 diabetes, hypercholesterolemia, and glaucoma. He required ongoing medication that had to be regularly reviewed. The mother had a history of anxiety, agoraphobia, and obsessive-compulsive disorder. After the murders, around 10:30 a.m. that morning, she went to the GP with help for a cut to her hand, which she had sustained while stabbing her mother, but she said it was the result of an accident chopping vegetables. She then went to buy concrete slabs and sleeping bags to conceal the bodies. Her mother was concealed in an upstairs wardrobe in a sleeping bag, and then she used breeze blocks to barricade the wardrobe in. She then made a makeshift tomb for her father in his bedroom on the ground floor, with the concrete she had bought, and sealed it with white filler. His body was wrapped in 11 layers of plastic and a sleeping bag. She covered the tomb in sheets and paintings, which she states to the police were her grandfather's. After she had killed them, she stayed in the house for an insane 4 years and 3 months with their bodies and made arrangements to ensure that she continued to steal their money by cashing in pensions, benefits, bank accounts and credit cards that were all in the parents' names. She spent almost £150,000 of their money, including over $20,000 on gambling. She lied to so many, including family members, GPs, and even authorities, including the Department of Work and Pensions, about her parents' whereabouts. So how did she get away with this for so long? As there were 2 years of lockdown, this helped people not notice her parents' absence due to social distancing and rules to stay inside unless necessary and not to visit others' houses. She made excuses to family members and friends that the parents were unwell, on holidays or on lengthy trips, and even impersonated her mother to her sister on a phone call. McCullough also sent electronic birthday cards and gift vouchers as presents pretending to be from her mother. During the search of the home, many financial documents, multiple debit and credit cards, and a multitude of SIM cards were recovered. There were also a number of wrappers for SIM cards that served to remind McCullough where she had used each number. For example, they were labelled Dad, Dad WhatsApp, Bank, and Universal Credit. The Dad WhatsApp number was used to contact Lois's brother's wife when she was visiting from overseas and trying to arrange to meet John and Lois, where she told her they were away at the seaside so wouldn't be able to meet her. One of her siblings said how both McCullough's and her mother's phone numbers would regularly change. In fact, police inquiries found 145 numbers associated with Virginia, mostly between 2022 and 2023. 10 numbers were found for Lois and 16 for John. Virginia used 10 different handsets from 2022 until 2023, and one handset had 78 SIM swaps within a single year. On the afternoon of June 18th, she sent one of her sisters a text from her mother's phone that read, "Your dad and I are at the seaside in Walton this week," and then signed Mum with a kiss. The same night she sent another one that said, "Good night," again signed Mum with a kiss. Prior to the truth emerging about Mr. and Mrs. McCullough's grisly demise, the family were largely shadowy figures to locals, which is why it seems she was able to keep up the facade for so long. The elderly couple were quiet and largely reclusive, although Mrs. McCullough could sometimes be heard screaming at someone, but nobody seemed to know who this was aimed at. Those who came into contact with Virginia quickly discovered she was a deeply eccentric character who had paranoid tendencies. Their next-door neighbour, Phil Sargent, who lived next to the McCulloughs for 20 years, said, "The curtains were always drawn and you couldn't see if anybody was in the house. They were just like shadows. They'd move very quickly from A to B, and there was a lot of secrecy surrounding the house. I find it quite difficult even to say that Virginia murdered her parents or killed her parents. She'd come across as quite pleasant, and she was funny, irreverent as well. She had a dark sense of humour. She was quite chatty and would always come and descend on you. It would be a fair comment to say she was slightly irrational with her thinking. She didn't appear to be a threat of any kind, though. She would all of a sudden appear at 10 p.m. and want to talk. If you were going out, she would spot you and come out. You would get this story or other on what's happening to her and her world. Most of it was just made up. Last year, I saw her wearing a maternity dress. She was making out she was pregnant and showing people what she said was a scanned picture of her baby, but it could have been an image downloaded from the internet. I didn't believe her. While locals were flummoxed by the odd behaviour, there was growing disquiet about her parents' sudden disappearance, but no one thought to question her claim that she was there to oversee long-running repairs to a retaining wall, while John and Lois had supposedly moved to Clacton because they were getting fed up with people gossiping about them. Paul Hastings, a greengrocer at the Vineyard shopping centre near their home, noticed their disappearance as they used to purchase goods from the shop. He was told by McCullough that her parents were no longer living in Great Baddow. Mr. Hastings said her peculiar nature meant she could come in the shop and say things without arousing suspicion. She came into the shop and said, "The police are after me. They think I killed my mum and dad." He thought it was a bit odd, but didn't think anything else of it. He thought it was just her eccentric nature. He explained that McCullough would sometimes visit his shop 4 times a day before disappearing for the next fortnight, and also stated that McCullough was always buying plants from us, like bay trees and box hedging. He said he would deliver them to her and she would leave them in front of her house, then a few weeks later he would go past her place and they would be dead from neglect. A worker at a nearby shop who didn't want to be named said McCullough had told him her parents had moved by the seaside. He said he had not seen them since before the COVID-19 pandemic, but that previously he would see them about 2 to 3 times per week. He didn't really chat with her parents, but they seemed nice, normal people. Virginia, if anything, she was just like a pest. She would come in and go, "Do you want a coffee?" Then 5 minutes later, there would be a coffee sitting there. Alan Thompson, the owner of Thompson's TV shop in Great Baddow, described how Mr. and Mrs. McCullough rented TV equipment from him for 20 years and only bought it off him outright around 10 years ago. He said that Lois was a nice lady, but was very quiet and had no small talk. I think she had a lot on her plate. Her husband was very brusque and curt and always seemed in a hurry. I got the impression that he might have a short fuse. At one point around 2021, Virginia asked them to collect her parents' ex-rental equipment as she had no use for it anymore, as her parents had gone to Clacton. When someone came to collect the TV, she wouldn't let them in the house and had the TV out front waiting for them to pick up. One of McCullough's habits was to spend inordinate amounts of time at the front of the house pretending to sweep up when there might only have been 6 or 7 leaves blowing around. Her next-door neighbour said, looking back, it seems obvious now that she didn't want to spend time in the house with the bodies. I've also found comments on articles on Facebook from someone claiming that she used to come into her shop all the time and bought a lot of cans of fly spray, and now they know why. She would also buy her neighbours unwanted gifts in an attempt to buy friendship or to lessen suspicion. Mr. Sargent was one of the recipients of the unwanted gifts. She would leave food on my doorstep, he said. Sometimes it would be enough Chinese takeaway for 3 days, and I would have to get a friend round to help eat it all. Other times I would find 4 donuts. I kept on telling her I was not hungry, but it didn't make any difference. Sometimes she would give me bottles of drink, like Southern Comfort, and even 2 cherry trees in pots. She also gave me DIY equipment, such as door wedges to help in door hanging, and 2 different sizes of brand new pruning saws. Another neighbour said, I got a bottle of drink. I can't remember what it was, but it was alcohol and not something I would ever have. Another time I got some flowers. They were nice, but it was awkward because I didn't know what they were for. So how was she arrested? The court heard that from 2019 to 2024, Mccullough made 185 calls to the GP surgery, including calls where she pretended to be her mother. Undoubtedly, the COVID restrictions and the remote appointments that flowed from them were a stroke of luck for Virginia in pursuing her deception that her parents were still alive. One of the receptionists became concerned at the amount of appointments that were made by Mccullough for her parents and subsequently cancelled. In turn, a locum GP became concerned and raised the issue with the regular GP, who in turn raised a safeguarding issue with the police on the 1st of September 2023. After this, an officer spoke to Virginia over the phone, but Mccullough told them that her parents were travelling but would be back at the property on 8th of October 2023 in time for her mother's birthday on the 15th of October. She gave a detailed account as to their movements, including that they were visiting her sister, even giving a time and place that they would be having lunch with her. She described how they do not like staying at home because Virginia has a number of pending court cases where she was the victim of various public order and assault offences from neighbours. She stated that her parents did not carry their mobile telephones as they were not very techy. When asked when she had last seen her parents, she said it was the Sunday before and they were absolutely fine. However, this did not satisfy officers' suspicion, and they obtained an arrest warrant and forced entry into the property to arrest her on September the 15th, 2023. Mccullough made 238 calls apparently to Essex Police from July 2020 until her arrest for a variety of trivial matters. In October 2022, she even called the police pretending to be her mother, saying that she and her father had been staying at different family addresses. It later emerged Essex Police had attended at the address less than a month before the incident on 18th of August, after Mccullough alleged she was assaulted in her back garden. Mccullough claimed she had been attacked by 3 intruders in her back garden, but the injuries were strangely geometric and she had straight slash marks on her face. One neighbour said it was supposed to have happened in the early hours, but you would not have confronted people in those circumstances. A female officer had interviewed Mccullough in the first-floor living room, unaware of the bodies. A review was carried out by Essex Police over the prior contact with Miss Mccullough and concluded the female officer didn't do anything wrong. But it's absolutely wild that there were police in the property when the bodies were in there before they were even aware that this was going on. Some are speculating that the reason she called the police so many times is because she actually wanted to get caught, as she states maybe she'll have peace now in the arrest video. Mr. Justice Johnson told her, "You say you murdered them because you felt trapped. The reality is you were trapped by your own dishonest behaviour. You were described by one of your sisters as a compulsive liar, but that hardly captures the elaborate and enduring web of deceit you spun over numerous years." The court heard that Virginia had accumulated months' worth of prescription drugs and then bought a kitchen knife in May 2023, so it was evident she had been planning this for some time. Mccullough had said her self-esteem was 500% higher now that she was in prison and had admitted her guilt. The court heard that Mccullough told a psychiatrist that she became depressed and paranoid after the killings and self-harmed on occasion while living in the house with her parents' bodies. She claimed that she dreamt of her mother and father on a regular basis. She viewed her parents' money after the murders as compensation for the fact that she, and she alone with her parents, was responsible for running the household. The family impact statements were read out in court. The first sister said, "We had no chance to say goodbye to our parents and tell them that I loved them. There was nothing stopping Virginia from getting a job and living her life. Her prolific lies and greed are such senseless reasons for killing John and Lois. The second sister said, "I feel sick to my core. I'm horrified and broken-hearted because of Virginia. We have been robbed of time and the loving bonds with our mum and dad for years to come. How dare she rob our family of this right? We are orphans due to this abhorrent and heinous actions for which she is solely responsible." The third sister added, "Mum and Dad were kind and well-meaned people. You made up so many lies that nobody could see your cold-blooded actions and murder. It breaks my heart that you have painted them in a different light. You robbed us of our mum and dad." In a joint tribute, the family of John and Lois said, "Our dad was caring and hard-working, and he had a passion for education and writing. He worked tirelessly in his career in university education, which spanned many years. Dad enjoyed lots of hobbies, with particular favourites being golf and snooker. As we think of Dad, we remember the numerous jokes he used to tell us and the laughs he gave us. Our mum was kind, caring and thoughtful. Mum delighted in her grandchildren. She had friends from around the world through her pen friend hobby, many of whom she'd written to for several decades. Mum had a passion for history and maintained a keen interest in the royal family. Mum and Dad loved their trips to the seaside together, where they enjoyed many walks and visited lots of different attractions. Their love for the seaside was so great they were hoping to move to the coast in their retirement years. Mum and Dad always enjoyed the time they spent with us. Family was their pride and joy. Our family has been left devastated and heartbroken at the deaths of our parents, who were taken from us so cruelly. As we try to move forward with our lives, we'll remember the happy times we enjoyed with them. Our mum and dad are forever in our hearts and are loved and missed beyond any measure." Lois's brother, Mr. Butcher, urged the judge never to release his niece. He stated that Virginia is very dangerous and has spread many lies to cover her misdeeds. Her ability to kill her parents undermines my faith in humanity. Virginia used our hope to see Lois and John to manipulate us. I have been manipulated over the years to think my sister is alive. I couldn't comprehend what has happened and still can't. I believed I was in communication with Lois, John and Virginia before hearing the awful news. I couldn't sleep and I couldn't understand why Virginia would do such a thing, and I still can't. I could never get this time back with my sister and her husband. My biggest fear is that Virginia is dangerous and she'll now have a lot of time to plan something else. And he stated that he was worried she would come after the rest of the family if released. Mr. Justice Johnson sentenced Mccullough to life imprisonment with a minimum term of 36 years. He mentioned how he thought this was premeditated and spoke about her conduct amounted to a gross violation of the trust that should exist between parents and their children. Virginia did not react as she was sentenced to life imprisonment. She nodded to the judge after the sentence was handed down. The only time she is said to have cried is when they described the killing of her mother. Detective Superintendent Rob Kirby read out a statement after the trial was over, giving an overview of the case and outcomes, where he calls her an intelligent manipulator and callous.
Good afternoon. Virginia Mccullough murdered her parents in cold blood. Her actions were considered meticulous and carried out in such a way as to conceal what she had done for as long as possible. These were the actions of someone who had taken time to plan and carry out the murder of her parents in the interests of self-preservation and personal gain, before living within metres of the bodies of her two victims for a number of years. Throughout the course of our investigation, we have built a picture of the vast levels of deceit, betrayal and fraud that she was engaged in. It was on a shocking and monumental scale. Mccullough lied about almost every aspect of her life, maintaining a charade to deceive everyone close to her and clearly taking advantage of her parents' goodwill. She is an intelligent manipulator who chose to kill her parents callously without a thought for them or those who continue to suffer as a result of their loss. The details of this case shock and horrify even the most experienced of murder detectives, let alone members of the public. It therefore follows that the wider family of John and Lois understandably could never have guessed or anticipated that McCullough would be capable of undertaking these murders before committing herself to this level of deceit. They have been left utterly devastated by the circumstances of this case, and they continue to feel the loss of John and Lois each and every day. This process, from the finding of John and Lois's remains to the unravelling of McCullough's web of lies, has taken a huge toll on the wider family network.
So, that about sums everything up. This is such an insane case, as I just cannot imagine living in a house with bodies for that long, let alone at all. It's difficult to say for sure, but it does seem like there are a lot of strange circumstances surrounding all this. Like accounts of shouting, family issues, and the fact that they were not suspicious for that long. Some families aren't close, but it is a really long time not to see them. Some have speculated they didn't want to see them because of the upbringing. What do you think? Let me know in the comments, and please consider liking and subscribing, and thanks for watching. As always, my heart goes out to the family and friends, and I hope they can heal during this difficult time. Take care and see you in the next one.